Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another week of Late Night Baseball. That's Parker. I'm Anthony, and we're two guys here every week, late into the night, talking baseball. If you are new here, make sure you're listening to us anywhere you listen to podcasts, or join us on YouTube, where we have a plethora of other episodes, some great bonus content for you. But definitely make sure you're going on to YouTube and checking out all the great Late Night Baseball content that we have there for you. Parker, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's going pretty good. I do have a pretty major announcement to make. And that is that after a long and arduous negotiation, I have decided that I will be taking my talents to Chavez Ravine and joining the greatest assembly of talent in the history of Major League Baseball and joining the Los Angeles Dodgers, because everybody's fucking doing it. And I decided that I wanted to get in on the fun. So I am now podcasting for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Only fitting, Parker. You know, I'm a Bears fan, for those of you who don't know, and they really they signed a gem this weekend or this week in Ben Johnson. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Parker. For a hot second, I was like, I'm gonna wait for the Bears to announce that, because this son of a bitch is gonna go to the Dodgers in about literally, it's just, at this point, it's kind of exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, they have gotten, and that's the thing, like, this has gotten a lot of flack in recent weeks, and to a certain extent, justifiably so, but to a certain extent, it's like, okay, you sign a guy like Tanner Scott, you also offered him the most money, gave him the best environment he could possibly go into, gave him the best odds to win. Yeah, of course he's going to sign it. Kirby Yates signs a very competitive deal, basically right at what he was projected to get, in the best environment, playing for a team that's going to give him a chance to win a second World Series. Yeah, like, these are starting to really make sense. Roki Sasaki, I saw it online, I forget where, but it's a great point. Like, if I was a American baseball player that was being posted to go over to the NPB, and I could go to any team, and there is one team that had all my friends on it from when I played for the national team, and also that's the best team in the league. They just came off of a World Series championship. They've only gotten better. Yeah, I would pick the team that all my friends are on. I'm going to play for the Oryx Buffaloes or whoever it is. Like, I do not blame any of these players for making the decision that they made. I don't feel like this is a Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors deal. I think that this is like, wow, yeah, we've really come to a point where the clear choice for every single free agent that gets contacted by the Dodgers is to go play in Los Angeles.
Well, it is going to be a Dodgers-centered show today, because we are going to be doing our first division preview as we get closer to the baseball season. And, of course, we're starting in the NL West for obvious reasons. And we'll kind of spend a lot of time today giving you our division preview for the NL West. And, of course, we'll spend a lot of time on those LA Dodgers. But, Parker, I want to stay in LA for a second, because there is a young man in LA who's having a hell of a week.
Yeah, absolutely. So famously, the Pittsburgh Pirates put out a notification, and I don't have it on deck to show, but they put out something on like their Instagram accounts and on social saying that they offered 30 years of season tickets behind home plate, among a few other things, including like autographed bats and baseballs, and getting to see a game with Livy Dunn in her personal suite, in exchange for the 1-of-1 Paul Skeens debut patch baseball card. Now, you collect baseball cards. I don't have to explain to you, but there's a lot of people here who aren't probably like the most avid collectors, and let me just explain. So on the day that you debut in the major leagues, you have a patch that is on your jersey for 1 day and 1 day only. And this is a relatively newly established thing. This happened after Fanatics took over as the supplier for Major League Baseball jerseys. So that patch is right there on your sleeve. It's small. It's designed to be put on a baseball card. And that patch was put onto a card by Topps, who is the baseball card company that is also owned by Fanatics. And because Fanatics makes the jerseys, they have first dibs on all memorabilia leaving the game. It's a whole licensing agreement between Major League Baseball and Fanatics. Long story short, that card has been in circulation, waiting to get pulled out of a pack for a very long time. Skeens has played through his rookie season. We're in the offseason, about to go to spring training for his sophomore season, and nobody had found the card yet. Well, card was found by a young man. I don't know that his name has been released. I haven't been able to see it anywhere in the Los Angeles area because, of course, fucking Dodgers get everything good. But a young man, 11 years old, did rip the card out of a pack in the Los Angeles area. The Pirates have contacted him and made him the offer. I don't believe that he's accepted. I feel like we would have heard that by now. But funny enough, I saw also on social media, so take this with another grain of salt. I'm pretty sure their offer of 30 years of season tickets and like all the signed memorabilia and merch is like a massive low ball compared to what this card is projected to auction for. It looks like it's going to project for around like $1.5 million minimum. And the total package that they offered him is somewhere around like $750,000, depending on how much you value a game with Livy Dunn in her suite.
Which personally, high value on that. But
high value.
What I will say about that though is it is the only time, or at least in recent memory that I can remember, that a card got so much hype to be found. Like I'm talking like Willy Wonka golden ticket energy.
That's exactly how I was going to put it. Yeah.
Man, good for him. Hey, I mean, 11-year-old kid opens up that deck. I mean, I would have loved to have been there just to see his reaction. I almost wish they filmed it. Is there any footage on this? I have not seen it.
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. But take solace in the fact that is probably the perfect age for somebody to pull the one of one. Like he did basically just win the lottery. And you know what? Slab it, dude. Keep it in your house.
Right. That's only going to get more valuable too. That's awesome. Good for him. If anyone's going to get it, I want the kid to get it. That's great.
I remember being a kid and pulling a Mickey Mantle jersey card, right around that age, actually.
Wow.
And freaked out. Yeah, that is in an attic somewhere. I have no idea where that is.
Yeah, you may want to go find that.
Might need to go find that. Definitely isn't slabbed. It's the only card I have that is my 1989 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, like the first baseball card he ever appeared on.
Nice.
I have that one. It's like a 9.5, 9 point something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super cool. I have the whole rest of that set too. Long story short, family drama happened, and the Ken Griffey Jr. card from the boxed set, the Upper Deck set, went missing, and I got it as a birthday present, like years and years and years later. So super cool.
No, it worked out. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So, folks, today we're going to dive back. Like I said, we're starting our division series, our division previews. We'll do every division over the course of the next 6 weeks. But before we get into that, Parker, significant news last night, and that is that the Hall of Fame elections are over. Hall of Fame inductees have been announced. Joining Dick Allen and Dave Parker in the Hall of Fame this year, we have Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and Billy Wagner, who are getting, or should I say got, the call. So, Parker, what was your initial reaction when you heard these three were going to the Hall of Fame?
Super excited. My initial I was driving home from work, actually, and I remember my initial reaction being like, I can't wait to get home so I can check and see if Ichiro was unanimous. I have a rant for that. I'll put that on hold for just a second. Congratulations to all three of these gentlemen. Every single one of them is a Hall of Famer through and through. All of them cleared 80% of the vote. Billy Wagner with 82.5%, CC Sabathia with 86.8%, and Ichiro Suzuki with 99.7% of the vote.
No. Stop. We are going to do this. We're going to do this right now.
Yeah, we're doing it right.
Listen to me. We're going to do it right fucking now. What like high horse SOB energy? I'm sorry. I would love to know who didn't vote for Ichiro, and I want to know the other players you voted for. And I want to know that if you didn't vote for anyone, or you had this, this honor to vote for the Hall of Fame, if you're only submitting one or two players each ballot, I'm sorry, you don't need to be voting. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple. I think Joel Sherman on MLB Network submits a ballot with like, I think this year he put like 4 people on it, which I just think is absolutely ridiculous. It did have Ichiro on it, and he did vote for Ichiro, but like, what are we doing, man? 4 people on your ballot. You
Come
have
on.
10 votes, and there are 10 Hall of Famers on that ballot. 100%.
Yes.
We did the Hall of Fame ballot a couple weeks back, and it was hard to fit my 10 vote. There were more than 10 Hall of Famers on that ballot, in my opinion. The fact that Andrew Jones
Mhm.
hit, I saw a really great comparison on Twitter the other day. If Andrew Jones had done what he did and won like 13 gold gloves and hit 400 home runs for the New York Yankees, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Or no, Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones said that on Twitter. That's who
Chipper
it was.
Jones.
Yeah. And like that is very
Yeah,
true.
it
100% true.
is.
So it's just I have so much to say about the Hall of Fame selection process. I think everybody agrees, except for the BBWAA, that it is super fucking broken. And then these people just, I think it's like one of those things. It's like the scene from The Office where it's like, this is the smallest amount of power I've ever seen go to someone's head. That's how it feels because some people send in blank
Yeah.
ballots. Some people send in ballots without 10 people filled in. And I just find it ridiculous.
Now, at the end of the day, I mean, let's be frank. At the end of the day, getting into the hall unanimously, it really doesn't matter. You get in or you don't get in, whatever. But what
Right.
matters to me, that's not what I care about. What I care about is how much do I trust these folks who are the sole decision makers on a writer's ballot for getting into the hall when
Mm-hmm.
we can all agree on things that are absolutely universal, undeniable. Ken Griffey Jr. should have been unanimous, right? Ichiro should have been unanimous, right? Like it.
Derek
This
Jeter
is not
probably should have been unanimous.
right. Like this is not hard. Why are we making it difficult? Are our egos that big where we have to be cute? I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, not to make this about the Red Sox, but like I think way more people should have been unanimous. Like to me, like who's saying no on day? I guess David Ortiz. People bring up steroid allegations with him and all that stuff all the time. So maybe he's not
Yeah.
the best example. But like Roy Halladay, in my opinion, that's the kind of guy that goes in unanimously. Lou Gehrig was not a unanimous Hall of Fame selection.
Yeah. It's pretty
Like,
amazing. It's pretty
yeah,
it's amazing who hasn't been unanimous,
hmm yeah, and like
which is crazy.
not to take away from Mariano Rivera. Genuinely, though, I think that might have happened by accident. I think somebody assumed there. I think everybody assumed there was one dude who would like send in a blank ballot, and everybody checked yes on his ballot, and they were like, "Ah, shit, we finally did it. We put somebody in unanimously. Can never let that happen again."
God
It's
damn it.
super sad.
Jerry wasn't supposed to put him on the ballot.
Yeah.
He effed
You
up
said
and
Jerry
now
was going to be in Bora Bora during the voting process. What is happening? They had post offices in Bora Bora. It's ridiculous.
oh, that's funny. What I wanted to talk about though is the rest of this ballot, when you really stop to think about it, and I want to provide some context, it's actually quite interesting because I want to start at the very bottom when you look at the people that fell off. So the way this works, for those of you who don't know, is in your first year, if you do not get more than 5%, you
Mm-hmm.
automatically fall off. And if we look at these folks that have fallen off, we're looking at Ian Kinsler, Russell Martin, Brian McCann, Troy Tulowitzki, Curtis Granderson, Adam Jones, Carlos Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, and our legend, Ben Zobrist. No, not Benny. Oh, man.
Yeah. Poor Ben Zobrist. I think he's a Hall of Famer personally.
No
At least
votes, though.
I
No
know.
votes.
I know. And I genuinely, that's not too surprising.
Yeah.
Because like I said, there are more than 10 Hall of Famers on that ballot, in my opinion. And if you were to put one in front of me, which we did, and I made a point to vote for Ben Zobrist, mostly as to make a point. I think he's like a 10th ballot, 75.01% of the ballot kind of guy, if he ever were to
Right.
make it. Obviously he didn't, and he won't make it in the Eras committee as well. I think he's a great ball player, and his career WAR is nowhere near where it needs to be to make it in the Hall of Fame. But I think his contributions to significant teams was what I was writing on. So that sucks, but it is what it is.
Now, I want to go to the top of the list here because this tells a kind of a different story. And when we start to get to the top of the list, you really start to ask yourself the question, which guys are not going to be getting in? And the
Mm-hmm.
one that sticks out to me is this was the 9th year for Manny Ramirez. He's still at 34.3% on this ballot. He would have to take a big jump in his last year next year. it's guys like this that I just think they're not going to get it done.
Yeah, that I don't think Manny's going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, we saw it with Billy Wagner. The writing was kind of on the wall that he had a really good shot this year. He had 72% of the ballot last year. He looked really good.
Yeah.
That's just not there. And I don't know that that's there for anybody. I don't have exactly all the stats right in front of me. But it's like, wow. These guys who there's really nobody on the bubble, I think, next year. I don't remember exactly who's going to be 10th round or 10th year guys. But of those people, none of them got, I think, like 74 to 65% of the vote or anything like that.
Well, and the only guy that's quite interesting on this list on the right after Billy Wagner was Carlos Beltran at 70.3% in his
Okay,
third
yeah,
year.
yeah. You know what? I
He's a
forgot about
guy.
him. Yes.
He will break that 75 mark eventually.
Yeah, I think so. More people, I think, are more willing to get him in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens. I super Carlos Beltran's one of those guys. Like, I grew up and like Carlos Beltran was in that list of names. It was like, oh, he's a big star, you know. And I know the whole cheating scandal and everything like that. I just don't feel like we talked about this before. You can't tell the story of baseball without the 2017 cheating scandal. And he wasn't even, I don't know. He was playing, but like,
There's
a
a
role
lot of
player. Yeah.
unanswered questions about that.
we
Not
we
excusing
we
it.
will never know. Like,
No.
you have to accept that we won't know everything that happened. Just like we will not ever know the specifics of the steroid testing that happened in, what was it, like 2002 or 3, with the preliminary testing, with the preliminary results, and like that was never supposed to be released to the public. It was supposed to be confidential, and then it wasn't. It is what it is. So
Last thing I'll say, because this is the thing that stood out to me more than anything on this, was Torrey Hunter got 5.1%. He barely stayed on the ballot. And if he fell off the ballot, that would be an utter disappointment. Are you kidding me?
yeah, he definitely needed to get. I don't love the idea that people fall off after not getting 5%.
Yeah.
Basically because I feel like there's such a backlog on the ballot, and if we really want to change anything, we need to leave these people on for at least a couple. Like, what's the harm in just printing a bigger ballot next year? I understand we'd have a lot of people. And I'm not okay. I'm not like arguing Ben Zobrist falling off after getting no votes.
Sure. Right.
But I think if you get some votes, like, leave them on the ballot, in my opinion. I don't think it hurts anybody.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Very interesting ballot. It'll be great to see these 5 new inductees in the Hall of Fame. It'll be good to see that when you look at the top guys like Ichiro, CC, and Billy Wagner. I mean, just it's funny, Parker, because we're getting to this time, and we've kind of been there for a couple of years, where now it's like guys that we grew up watching are getting in the Hall of Fame, which is just screws with my brain. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so weird to me. Like, and it's different, like, not players that they're not players that were old when we started watching baseball, right? Like, I remember watching the last few years of Jim Thome's career and being like, yeah, this guy's a Hall of Famer. I remember when Tony Gwynn got elected into the Hall of Fame, and I remember being like, wow, he sounds really good. I wish I could have seen him play. But guys that were rookies when I was 12 years old being on the Hall of Fame ballot this year is not okay and needs to fucking stop.
And then you realize it's only getting worse.
Justin Pedroia was a rookie in 2007 when I was 12 years. I turned 12 like a week after the World Series in 2007. So not happy.
Well, don't worry,
That.
Parker. I can't wait till we're both 65 and we're watching Paul Skeens get inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Oh no, we'll be at the induction together, you and I.
Sure, yeah, we sure will be. Book it now. Oh man, that's so funny. That 11-year-old kid who pulled the cards, making millions, driving a Maserati somewhere. It'll be great.
Yeah.
All right, folks, let's dive into the division preview for this week. I'm excited about this one, Parker, because when we were talking about kind of what division to start with, it very quickly became obvious that we needed to start with the NL Central, or excuse me, the NL West.
Can you
As
imagine?
of,
Yeah, it's obvious we're starting with the NL Central.
yeah,
Bring out the Rockies,
yeah.
baby.
Let's
Wait, no, they're in the West. I'm so dumb.
you you want to talk about
We'll talk
the
Rocks.
Cincinnati Reds? Let's
Yeah.
talk about the Cincinnati Reds. No, we will get to the NL Central, and in fact, that'll be next week. But for now, we are hanging out in the West, and what we're gonna do is I want to just kind of go through Division, Parker, and talk about each of these
Mhm.
teams and kind of what we think we're going to see out of these teams in 25. And at the end, we're going to give you our standing predictions, and then we're each going to give you a bold prediction for that division. Parker, let's just start where we should start here, and that
Yep.
is this truly a Dodgers and everyone else division, or is there any hope for any other team to be competitive, not only for a wild card, but for the division potentially?
I think the easy answer is that it's the Dodgers division to lose. But genuinely, having watched quite a bit of baseball, you can't say that, right? Like, you have to let them play the games. We have to play the games. Because this division is very good. This is probably the best division in baseball. This probably has the most talent in baseball if you take the other 4 teams out of it.
No way.
I think this is the best division in baseball.
Are you really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do.
Man.
With the additions that the Arizona Diamondbacks have made, with the additions that the San Francisco Giants have made, and with the talent on the San Diego Padres roster, I genuinely think this is the best division of baseball, especially when you factor in the fact that this might be the single greatest gathering of talent on a single roster in baseball history.
Wow, this is great because honestly, I'm glad we started with this because I am in the exact opposite direction, and we'll slowly talk about why in a second. I know.
Okay, all right.
You're going to be shocked by this. We'll get there. It's baby step to this, but I want to start with the Dodgers because you kind of said it perfectly. This has been a coming together of the most talented players in the sport. And if you compare any other super team in any other sport, I immediately think of the mid thousands, late thousands, like Miami Heat, Chris Bosh, LeBron, Dwayne Wade. I think about that team, but even this is something we really haven't seen in any other sport. And I don't know how you don't
to this
bet
extent.
these guys to this extent. Yeah. I don't know how you bet against them winning the division, and I think they fortified this team in all the right places, and I don't know that they have a spot right now, to be honest.
Yes, and you have a great point, because I do think about those like 2010s Heat teams, but you know who else I think of? The late 2010s Lakers team that had LeBron James, Steve Nash, Dwight Howard. That team looked like it was like, who's gonna beat them? And then they were terrible. Like, they were bad at basketball. And I don't think that there's a world where Shohei Ohtani is not the best player or hitter in baseball. Maybe like best player, depending on how well he pitches. I'm a little skeptical of a second Tommy John surgery because it really just has never worked out for anybody. But he's going to be probably the best hitter in baseball. Him, Mookie Betts, all of these. I can list all the names. It's going to take me an hour and a half to list all the names and all the talent on this team. But we got to play the games. We got to play the games. Look at what happened to them last year. Jack Flaherty started Game 1 of the World Series for them last year.
I know.
And we were talking about how deep they were last year.
Correct. Well, that's the difference maker here. Is for the last 4 to 5 seasons, it's always been, wow, the Dodgers have one hell of a lineup. They'll kick your ass on offense, but the pitching has always been let's hope it stays together. But folks,
maybe Kershaw will be healthy.
Exactly. That's been a story for seemingly a decade. But I'll tell you what, this year, that I don't think that's going to be a problem. If you look at the rotation right now, it's nuts. You're looking at Shohei coming back. Obviously, you'll see Shohei, Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow. Oh, yeah. And Roki Sasaki. Like, get out of here right now with this. Come on.
Yeah, it is the Japanese starting rotation, the Japanese WBC starting rotation. And then the 2 guys who were on the Rays that were fucking incredible for years, that we are all like, well, imagine if these guys were on a good team. They're on a good team now. guys.
I mean, I so much so I think Glass now gets dual citizenship just being in this rotation.
Tyler Glasnow, interesting that you bring him up because I think he might be the biggest wild card on this rotation. I think you can
Yeah.
absolutely chalk Blake Snell up for like 160 innings and an incredible second half of the season because that's just kind of the recipe for Blake Snell these days. But Tyler Glasnow's never pitched more than 150 innings. I'd have to pull it up to be exactly sure, but he's never pitched a full season. And while he's on the mound, hard to argue that anybody is better than he is. Like, he is an incredible pitcher. But when we look at innings pitched, yeah, he's never pitched more than 134 innings. Granted, those 134 innings were last year. In the last two seasons, he's gone from 120. He went from 88 innings pitched in 2021. He missed basically all of 2022. 120 in 2023, 134 innings in 2024. So who knows? Maybe he cracks the 150, 160 inning mark here. But really, why would he when you could just choose to stay healthy and let the 17 starting pitchers in this organization get 15 to 20 starts apiece?
Well, and I think that's what it is. I think that is what they're most likely, if I had to bet, they're going to do. I would go with a 6-man rotation, kind of lean into my strength, make sure you keep everyone healthy, because at the end of the day, we've talked about this, is if you can get through 162, fine. You want everyone healthy in October, and that's what they've struggled with. I think if they're healthy in October, you're seeing back-to-back champs. I just think so.
Yeah, and I also think that they just have a plethora of big game guys. Like, if you get them all to October healthy, I don't know. I think Blake Snell starts game one for me in this rotation. Like, if you're in October and you need a game one starter or a game 7 starter and you can pick any starting pitcher in the world, Blake Snell might be the guy that I pick. Like, he is kind of the quintessential big game pitcher that we have in MLB today. There's a couple guys you could throw into that conversation as well. Guys like Garrett Cole, whatever. But Blake Snell, known for his incredible second halves of the season, known for stepping up in big moments, I think would be that guy. Talk about other people with that in their blood. I mean, Roki Sasaki, what did you throw? 2 consecutive perfect games in the National Japanese Baseball Tournament that is arguably more popular than the NPB. Yoshinobu Yamamoto came out and was absolute nails in the World Baseball Classic, like big moments for his country. Shohei Ohtani goes out and strikes out Mike Trout to end the World Baseball Classic. All these are big name guys that can go out there and give you big innings in the later half of the season. We're going to see how it works out. We see a lot of these Japanese players. Like, I think about guys like, Yamamoto last year, Shota Imanaga, most recently even as close to me, Masataka Yoshida. That these Japanese players who are used to playing a 6-game per week schedule, and then being on a 6-man rotation, having scheduled Mondays days off. It's a shorter season overall. Sometimes they do burn out towards the end of their first season or two in the big leagues.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how Roki takes to that. Now, rumor is he's got an arm made of rubber, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, interesting. Definitely interesting to see what happens. I think that it's the Dodgers, man. They're gonna be very good.
Yeah, I mean they'll be a force to be reckoned with per usual. You look at some of their additions over the last offseason. So obviously, let's not forget Michael Conforto will fill in for them in left field. They retain Teoscar Hernandez, who will most likely slot in and right, where you have Mookie going to short. Haesung Kim, second baseman from KBO, he's KBO. There. And their rotation.
Not Haesung Kim. Not Haesung Kim.
No, not Haesung Kim.
Yes. Yeah, different. Very good player. Hit a pretty solid double during the WBC, or no, during the Korean exhibition game against the Dodgers. Last year at the beginning of the season.
But Parker, this bullpen right now, they have 3 closers: Tanner Scott, Michael Kopech, Blake Trinan. Can't go wrong with all 3 of them, particularly without Kopech
and Kirby Yates.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. See, I can't even name them all off the top of my head because there are so many.
Talk about Kirby Yates might be the best of those closers.
Man, it's just an absolute
yeah.
embarrassment of riches. Like,
it is a fantasy baseball team. It is MLB The Show. Like, when you can force trades and you just build a super team.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I could build a better team than this. It's insane. This is very, very crazy.
So we know where we stand with the Dodgers. It's really no surprise there. Let's move down and talk about the. Let's actually go to the Diamondbacks because
Okay.
you made a comment about the Diamondbacks earlier. They've made some solid acquisitions. They're a team, Parker, that could be quite sneaky.
I think that they're going to be very good. I think that if there's a team in this division that's going to actually make a solid run at the Dodgers, it might be the Diamondbacks. Their starting rotation is solid, and good pitching beats good hitting 7 times out of 10,
Yeah.
at the very worst. So when you talk about a rotation that has guys like headed up now, ace of the staff, Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns is there and he's ready to pitch. We've got Merrill Kelly. We've got Zach Gallen. I still think Zach Gallen is maybe the most undervalued starting pitcher in all of Major League Baseball. He is an
Oh
absolute
yeah.
animal and has been basically every single year.
I
And then
put
we're going
him.
to,
I'll put him in like you said it last week, and I just popped in my brain. You put him in like the Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler
yeah,
tier that you always forget about those
forget
guys.
about, but they're
That's Zach Gallen.
nails.
Yes.
I'd be interested to see if it's because his K per 9 is lower than the rest of the guys. I'll look him up in here in a second. But then you also talk about the back two of that rotation has some upside, right? Like Eduardo Rodriguez has been an effective starting pitcher in Major League Baseball for a while. Is he going to be the guy who won like 25 consecutive, like the Red Sox won like 25 consecutive of his starts in his prime when he was with the Red Sox? No, that's not going to be him anymore. But he is a lefty and he's going to be okay. And then you got another big lefty coming out of their rotation, number 5 starter Jordan Montgomery, who, yes, you're stuck with Arizona. However, he does have upside and seems to be
He
one of those
does.
big game guys that kind of
Yeah.
shows up when he needs to show up. So I think that their starting rotation is incredibly good. You talk about a lineup that has guys like Ketel Marte, and then like there's Corbin Carroll is one of my favorite players in all of baseball. He's up there for my favorite player in the game that isn't a Red Sox. So like I think that there's a lot that is going for this Arizona team. I plan on going to see a couple Diamondbacks games this year. So
Nice.
I'd love to maybe go see a playoff game. That'd be sick.
Yeah, I think the rotation has some major upside. If you look at their projections, the Fangraphs projections for, let's just do ERA for right now, they have Corbin Burns at 371, Zach Gallen at 395, and even the rest of the rotation that's over a 4 on the dot, 405, 421. That's serviceable. If they're all
Very
doing
much.
that with their
Yeah.
offense, I mean, you're looking at a team that could win 93, 95 games minimum. That's crazy.
Zach Allen projected on Baseball Reference, projected at, interestingly, a 3.48, which is like half a point lower than on Fangraphs.
That's interesting.
But they also have him projected for 155 innings pitched, a 116 WHIP. But interestingly, they have him projected to get one save for Zach Gallen. And I'm taking that as Baseball Reference picking the Diamondbacks to win the World Series with Zach Gallen on the mound closing the whole damn thing out.
That is no way. No way in hell. That's funny.
No,
That's
no,
really
but it
funny.
is funny that he's projected for a save.
Like, why? What? I want to know what computer calculated that one using what algorithm.
Yeah, just one.
That's funny.
Just the one.
Jeez. One of the things about the Diamondbacks I really like is they're one of the teams, when you look at what they did this offseason, that made these kind of sneaky, solid moves. I mean, you look at their lineup, and we know the usual suspects, Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte on the top of that lineup. But you look at some of their additions, like a Josh Naylor. I really like Josh Naylor. You look at the rest of their lineup there. I mean, let's not forget, and it's very easy to forget, as you look at how these guys performed last year. You had Eugenio Suarez hitting 30 bombs last year.
Yeah.
Like if he gives you 20 to 25 and can get on base at a 350 clip, I'll take that.
It's a dangerous lineup.
Get 350, but it is a dangerous lineup, and I don't think they get enough credit for being as dangerous as they are. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to ask you and see if you can get it, because I was shocked. Obviously, I'm on Fangraphs. When you look at their hitting and the team rankings for all of baseball, where do you think they ranked in all of baseball in on-base percentage?
I actually, towards the beginning of the season, they were not good at all, but it basically all followed the arc of Corbin Carroll's season, from what I understand. So, like, top 10, but not top 5. I don't think they're top 5. Between 10 and 5.
Oh, okay. Between 10 and 5. What if I told you number 1?
No way. On base percentage.
Way.
That's such a Torey Lovullo team, right? Like, that's such an
Right.
old school baseball manager guy team.
But that is why they're so successful. I've always believed that on base percentage doesn't get enough love in today's baseball. Literally, it's you can make the argument it's the number one thing that matters at the end of the day. Get guys on base, move them over, get them in.
I would argue it's $765 million worth of value because that's what Juan Soto just got paid for, is his ability to get on base significantly more than most people.
That's exactly right. And I think it's so easy to forget about the absolute prime importance of OBP, and that's a good example of that. Crazy.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah, I mean, D-backs are going to be a team. Like, I agree with you. I think they're going to be sneaky. I don't think you can write them off. I think at minimum they're in play for a wild card spot. I'm always hesitant to say like, oh yeah, they'll challenge the Dodgers for the division. I don't know that I'll say that about any of these teams as a little preview, but you never know, right? Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, this division's going to eat itself alive.
Speaking of eating itself alive, let's go to the team that I think is going to maybe do some of that eating. And that's the Padres.
Okay.
First thing I'll say here, Parker, is I look at this rotation, and they needed Roki Sasaki. I mean, I think they just needed him, and it's a huge miss for them not to get him.
Yeah, we talked about how well he fit, and I think Roki was very aware at how well he fit because this Padres rotation has a bunch of guys, but no guy. Like, I don't know. I love Dylan Cease. I think Michael King's good, and he's on the upswing. Yu Darvish is still going to be Yu Darvish, but I think at this point in his career, he's just a very solid 4-starter. And then a guy, I always forget his name, Joe Musgrove, is going to do Joe Musgrove things.
Well, let's not forget Joe Musgrove had Tommy John surgery.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah, so he's done.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. No, they really needed Roki. I have forgotten. I think I've said Joe Musgrove's name like 15 times on this podcast. Yeah. No, they are screwed. They're not going to do very well without a Roki. They really needed to add an arm. Now there's still arms out there. Jack Flaherty's still on the market. He hasn't been signed yet. There was even a rumor going around that they were looking into Ranger Suarez as well. So I think there's still, and I think that's a great pickup. Wow, I didn't even think about that. I'm a big Ranger Suarez guy. Love him to death. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, solid number 3. 100%. What I will say about this is, I think you make a great point with the lineup. I'm trying not to give too much away because the Padres are involved in my extremely bold prediction. So I'm just going to stop talking about the Padres because we're going to bring them up again later, and I'm going to do a deep dive on this team.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me.
Okay. Giants, Parker, are the Giants, is Buster Posey have the super special pixie dust, or is this all just a mirage and it doesn't matter and the Giants are going to go back to gianting?
I absolutely love everything they have accomplished in this offseason. I think that the Giants did a great job adding Willy Adames. I always forget their Korean outfielder's name.
Jung-Hoo Lee.
Jung-Hoo Lee is there. I remember that off the top of my head. Jung-Hoo Lee is there. He's going to do great things. Matt Chapman's extension might be one of my favorite moves of the entire offseason. I've always been a big Matt Chapman guy. I love the fact that he's got a home for the foreseeable future. I'm high on this Giants team, but the problem with this Giants team is they are who I think is the Red Sox of this division. They are a team that is still kind of a couple pieces away from being truly good, talented enough to maybe win you 80 to 85 games. And it's going to be kind of hard to overachieve past that. I do think they're a good baseball team. I think they win or at least come in second in multiple divisions in baseball other than this one. But unfortunately, they're in this one. So I'll get to what exactly my prediction for them is going to be, but I'm not particularly convinced at this point by the Dodgers. Great job by Buster Posey in his first offseason, though.
You keep saying Dodgers, but you meant Giants.
Dodgers, Giants.
But it's interesting you say that. I'm also not convinced. I think their ceiling is quite low still. I like you
Mhm.
said 80 to 85 games. I think that would be the high. I could see them in that kind of 70 to 75 range handily. I just
Really?
yeah, and I think I say that because as the kids say, I look at this lineup and the rotation, it's still a little mid for me, right? Like I understand the
Would you
top of the
say that they improved or that they side graded from last season? Because last year they won 80 games. I don't want this to feel like a trap, but last year they won 80
sure.
games.
Sure, I would say let me say it this way. If five was if I had to grade them 1 to 5, 5 was they didn't move at all, and then obviously less than 5 is bad, plus 5 is good, up to 10. I don't think they moved the needle all that much. I got to give them a 6.5. If and that's honestly like
Okay.
I look at this team and Willie Adames is the big move there, and I think that's going to
Hmm.
do wonders for them. I think the guy has sneaky pop. He is going to be a guy that gets on base at a pretty handy
Hmm.
clip there at about 331 last season. I could see that going up. But after Matt Chapman, I mean, their projected lineup, you got Lee, Adames, Wade Jr., Chapman. After that, just a lot of question marks, honestly. I
Yeah.
mean, none of those guys in the second half of the lineup project more than a 1.8 war, with the exception of Patrick Bailey and catcher, and he's only getting that war because of his defense. It's just, I between that and the rotation, Logan Webb, solid. We talked about him already. Robbie Ray,
The
I think
ghost
he's
of
just
Robbie
on.
Ray.
That's what I'm saying, right? He's on the downturn. He's regressing. He's projected a
Hmm.
1.9 WAR over a full season. Justin Verlander, he's in the twilight. He's
Until
gonna,
he's bad, I'm not counting that man out.
you're so much more optimistic than me when it comes to these older pitchers. I inherently want to write them off. So kudos to you. Maybe you're right. I hope you're right for his sake. But I just look at that rotation and I'm just
I'm also
like,
super high on Jordan Hicks. I love Jordan
okay,
Hicks.
that's fair. That's fair. There is a good chance that
28
Jordan
years old.
Hicks, yeah, Jordan Hicks could have a better year than Logan Webb, and I would not be surprised by that.
No, that wouldn't surprise me either. He made such a sneaky, not even sneaky, everybody talked about it, but just such an unexpectedly incredible transition to a starting pitcher last year. Like you said, if Webb had a slightly less than incredible season and Jordan Hicks just had his best season that he's ever going to have, it could just happen next year, and I wouldn't blink an eye.
Yeah, I think the thing with Jordan Hicks is, if I'm remembering just how his season went exactly, he did taper off in the second half, and so I
Converted
wonder
reliever.
how. True, that's totally fair. That's part of the equation. I would love to see him get off to a solid start next year and just see him kind of carry that out a little longer than he did in 24, though. So,
I'm looking for a big season out of Heliot Ramos.
f-
I think.
like, finally, right? Like,
Hmm.
they need that.
Well, I mean, he was one of those. He made the All-Star team last year, or did he? No, he looked like he might have. I don't remember. I remember our old All-Star
He
episode last
I
year.
think he was on the final vote. You pick like the final person. I think he was
Yeah.
on there. Let me see. Was he? I don't
All I'm saying
know.
is, you should be ashamed that you have fallen from the San Francisco Magic hype train.
Yeah. I mean, he had top prospect energy. Did he does have an all-star on his baseball reference. I'm assuming that
Yeah,
was
that's what I
last
thought.
year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
he
think
did.
he was the
Um,
All-Star from that team last year.
oh, so he was pity selected. Got it. Okay.
Hey, Michael Lorenzen is an All-Star. All right, you take that off his baseball reference page and tell him when you did it.
Let me make a call right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you are right. Heliot Ramos is one of those guys that was a top prospect in their system, kind of just did not do what he needed to do in the minors. They finally gave him a chance in the majors, and he definitely showed a little something last year, but I'm not completely sold on him yet. He'd have to show me a good
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. I would need significant upticks in young people like Mason Black, Randy Rodriguez, guys like that for it to really. Yeah, I don't know.
I think, Parker, the Giants will be again in that like 70 to 75 win range, 80 to 85 on a good
Mhm.
year. And the only
And Logan
reason they're
Webb's
not
going to be top 5 in Cy.
right, yes, and he will be ignored because his team will be shitty.
Yep.
The only reason they're not at the back end of this division is because of the good old Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
Parker, what
Yeah.
the hell is going on with this team?
I have so little to care about them. Chris Bryant, it's Chris Bryant and like everyone else, I feel like, just on that team.
But no. But Chris Bryant is everyone else.
I mean, Chris Bryant
problem.
stinks on this team, man. Like, he's not good.
I don't think there's anything more sad, and I am not being like a smartass. I'm serious. Like, when I look at all of the storylines in baseball over the last 10 years, Chris Bryant's fall from grace literally just gnaws at me. And it, like, why? It's incredible.
Yeah, why choose that of all the things that you could? Like, I'm going to look him up right now. By the way, who do you think is the number 3 all-time player in the history of the Colorado Rockies in terms of WAR? I think 1 and 2 are pretty easy. I think 1 and 2 are the two Hall of Famers.
Todd Helton would be one of them.
Larry Walker's number 2.
Larry Walker. No way Carlos Gonzalez is that high, is he?
No. Nope. He's number 6.
Okay. And you're asking for number 3?
Number 3.
Is it pitcher or hitter?
It's a hitter. There are no pitchers on this list. There's one, but he's like, it's Ubaldo, and he's 9.
It can't be Chris Bryant. No way.
It's not Chris Bryant. It's not Chris Bryant. No.
Am I gonna kick myself?
Nolan.
Oh, wait.
It's Nolan.
No way. Not even
Nolan.
Charlie Blackmon?
Charlie Blackmon's number 7. It goes Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Nolan, Tulo, Trevor Story, Cargo, and Charlie Blackmon. And then
God,
Matt
guys.
Holliday, Ubaldo Jimenez, and then we get into like Kyle Freeland. No offense to Kyle Freeland, but
also let's be real here. Nolan Jones, 3rd on that list. Guys, he's had
Nolan Arenado.
Nolan Arenado. I was okay. That's why I was
Nolan
shocked when you
Arenado.
said that. I'm like, there's no way in hell. I was about to go off on you. I was like, there's no effing way it's Nolan Jones. The guy's had 3 damn seasons.
Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado.
All right.
40.1 WAR in his 5 seasons with the team?
That makes sense. I'm so glad that they put all that WAR to good use.
Oh no, a bunch more seasons than that. He had like 8 seasons. Oh my god. I forgot how old Nolan Arenado is.
Well,
I'm going to remember exactly how old it is if he does end up making a play to the Red Sox. We haven't even talked about the Rockies.
No, not at all. I mean, well, that's the thing. When you look at Nolan, when I think about watching baseball all those years, Nolan was the Rockies, right? Like,
yes.
He was the guy. He was the Rockies guy.
Yep.
And like, that's one of those teams where it reminds me so much like the Angels, the LA Angels. Like, they can't develop pitchers. They can't develop anybody. And they have this superstar on their team, and they're absolutely wasting all of his best years. And they're seemingly can't scout. They can't draft. They have no money to sign anybody. I have really serious questions about the viability, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but the viability of that franchise. Like, what are they doing?
You know what sucks too is that Denver, like, I'm a Broncos fan. I am an Avalanche fan. I am a Denver sports fan. Denver has an incredible fan base that is just lives and dies for their city. If they had a good baseball team, especially like, it is percentage points easier to assemble a good lineup in Coors fucking Field. Like, you could spend less money and get like players that can maybe not hit as well as others, and they will be significantly better in Coors Field. Yes, the pitching thing sucks. You genuinely can't even convince pitchers to go pitch there because literally the breaking balls do not break as much. But like, you should have a top 5 lineup in baseball every year. Like that should be built into Denver because you have a ballpark that for 81 games out of your 162 just helps you on every single pitch thrown to your hitters.
I mean, I just think with this season we talk about things being a shell of themselves. I don't even really say it. Maybe you can't say that about the Rockies because what are they a shell of is really nothing. So
the 2007 time they got swept from the World Series.
Now, but yeah. Now here's the thing with this though is I do see a glimmer of hope here, and that is that you look at guys for them like Ezekiel Tovar, you look at guys like Michael Toglia, you look at guys like Sam Hilliard. Like, yeah, maybe their numbers are assisted slightly by Coors Field, but at the end of the day, those are younger guys that are cost effective. They're cost controlled. They seem to magically hit on these guys as being either above or above average or above average major leaguers. If you just had the investment to build around those guys and add some players, maybe you're in a different conversation in 26 and 27. But as of right now, they're seemingly in this like standstill. I don't know what it is.
My thing with them is that even though the roadmap is there, and like you said, there are good moves to be made, like among them, the ones that you just listed, but I have negative faith in this front office to execute on any of those moves. This is the same organization that signed Nolan Arenado to a massive extension, then immediately traded him. This is the same organization that I think he's still the highest paid player on their payroll. This is the same organization that signed Chris Bryant for literally no reason. This is the same organization that let Trevor Story walk in free agency, not trading him for anything, and then he just leaves the team. They're not fighting for a playoff spot. What are you fighting for? Nothing. Trade away Trevor Story and get something back for him. Didn't do that. He walks in free agency. So, like, would you get a comp pick for him? Like, nothing is run well in that organization, which stinks. Because if it came down to it, I have family history in the city of Denver. I love Denver sports. Like, if it came down to it and I had a second big league team, it very well could be the Rockies, but I have no interest in associating with this franchise.
No, not at all. And I want to talk about, you bring up the payroll for a second. So Nolan Arenado is just getting paid $5 million this season and next season. So it's not even that bad.
That's significantly less than I thought he was making from them.
Yeah. So here's what I will say. Let's have a little trivia game here, Parker. What is their projected payroll for 2025? What do you think it is? Ballpark.
$75 million.
Oh, wow. I wish you were right.
Oh, no. $65 million?
Oh, you're going the wrong direction, buddy. You're going in the wrong direction.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Their payroll for this shit team is estimated to be at $123 million.
Who the fuck is getting paid on that team besides Chris Bryant?
Chris Bryant's at 27. Kyle Freeland's at 16. Ryan McMahon's at 12.
Kyle Freeland makes $16 million a season?
Yep.
I need his agent.
Antonio.
He's probably in Harp.
Antonio Sanzatella, 12 million. Herman Marquez, 10 million.
Herman makes sense.
Barely. Yeah. I mean, this is really sad. You have so many successful teams in this league that are paying under 123 million, and this is you buying the 92 Buick now and spending $50,000 on it. What are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, Cal Quantrill, is he still on that team, Cal Quantrill?
No, he's actually a free agent.
Yeah, he's an arm for the Padres. He has an arm attached to his body legally.
The bar is low, friends.
Bar's low.
Now we just need body parts. That's great. All right, fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Rockies are the Rockies. Drinking a Coors Banquet. Here's them Rocky Mountains.
Shit. All right, Parker. We could talk about the Rockies all day, and
I know I couldn't. I would end up talking about other shit like we just did for the last 20 minutes.
I meant we can shit on them, but we're not going to do that. We're going to have some respect and dignity here on this show. But we are going to go, Parker. Let's go to these standings here. And like, if you drew it up today, 1 through 5, what do you think?
All right. So are these? I didn't ask you this before we started recording. Are we going to do an overall predictions episode where we like? I know we're planning on doing a predictions episode where we pick like awards, and then I think we're doing another one where we predict like the playoff bracket, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Am I locked in to my playoff bracket based on my division rankings?
You are not. This will be a separate entry into the prediction pool.
Okay. Cool. So I mean, the hot take. I'm gonna have the Dodgers win in the division. For me, I got the Dodgers winning the division. The Arizona Diamondbacks coming in second. The Padres coming in third. The Giants coming in fourth, and the Colorado Rockies coming in fifth.
Wow, Parker, it's almost like we talk baseball every week because that's the exact order that I had. The literal exact order: Dodgers, D-backs, Padres, Giants, Rockies. I want to stop here, and I do want to give you my bold prediction because there is a reason why I picked it in that order, and I'm going to give perhaps the boldest prediction I've ever given on this show. And I say bold, and it's really not that bold because it comes informed. And I would like to apologize in advance to my San Diego Padres friends. All right. My bold prediction in 2025 is that the Padres are going to struggle out of the gate. They will never entirely put it together in 25, and it will lead them to be sellers at the deadline and go on some sort of a reset.
Yeah.
Now, let me.
Yeah, I want Fernando Tatis so fucking badly.
let me provide some context on this though, because people are probably like, all right, well, how are they going from 93 wins to selling? Let me explain.
There's a big story behind this.
There's a big story behind this. Number one is we know, unfortunately, relatively recently, we lost Peter Seidler. Now, 2 months before he passed, they were going to be in trouble with the league because they had racked up their debt ratio with the league was pretty bad because of all the investments they made in this team with big players. This is a team that in the last 2 years under Peter Seidler started spending a crap ton of money. Mind you, they are still considered a small market team. Now, this is where this matters, is if you look at their payroll, they're slated this year to be at an estimated $208 million. They've already come out and said that we're trying to get that payroll from $208 million to $169 million last year's payroll. I know. Now here's why this is a problem. Let's say you're able to do that. Okay, let's assume you get it down to 169. You get it down to 169, folks. You don't have much wiggle room when you have guys like Manny Machado at 17 million, 25 million, Bogart at 25, Tatis at 20, Musgrove at 20, Darvish at 22. Like, they're in an existential crisis situation. Like, they're not going to be able to sustain. They're not going to be able to sustain this. And that is why I think when you think about the unfortunate passing of Peter Seidler, the fact that they don't want to spend more money, the fact that they're going to be, basically up the creek without a paddle with all these very old players, or that's not very nice, older players that are making all this money, it's not sustainable. And I think this year the dam's going to break.
Yeah, the Padres have a special weird place in my heart because they took Xander Bogaerts away from what apparently he was ready to agree with, a contract with the Red Sox to come back and continue to be what he was basically like the de facto captain of the team. I'm not salty. Anyway, yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm not one of those people that blames him for I would take $280 million in a heartbeat too.
You think?
They find themselves in a weird situation where they need to offload contracts. Now, uniquely, they have a couple of these huge contracts that are still somewhat appealing. One of them in particular, like Fernando Tatis Jr., you could trade him and basically give his contract away to somebody. Like,
correct.
You pay all of it. There you go. Because he's been, as advertised, he's been incredible. Xander Bogaerts, you're stuck paying that money. And that means because of
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts, because of the fact that Manny Machado you could say his decline has kind of already started. If not, it's going to start in the next couple years. You're going to have a hard time offloading his contract too. So we're now talking about trading away everybody who makes more than $18 million a year for this team.
Yeah.
And that means like you're talking about maybe even trading away guys like Jake Cronenworth. Like this team needs to offload basically the entire ship if they're going to get below $165 million.
This is why I had this as my bold prediction, because one thing that makes me nervous for the Padres is they have this young stud in Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
And then they have this stud catcher, their number one prospect, Ethan Salas. You go below that, there's not much else.
Do you know what that means, though? It means that Jackson Merrill is going to be the chip that they use to trade away like a Xander Bogaerts.
I don't think that's in their best interest.
I don't think so either. It's not in their best interest, but
sure. But even if you attach someone, I hate this whole concept of like attaching your top star prospects to players, because it just dilutes what you can get straight up for Jackson Merrill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, who would trade Mookie Betts away just to get rid of David Price's contract?
Yeah. That is the best.
What if a team, dude, could you imagine if like somebody traded away Adrian Gonzalez for Nick Punto just to salary dump?
Can I just drop a little nugget here since we're on this topic? Do you know how much the Padres are still paying this year for Hosmer? They owe the Red Sox. They owe the Red Sox $12.8 million this year for Hosmer.
Fenway Sports Group, baby. That's why they're buying the Boston Celtics. That's why they're going to own the Boston Celtics.
Because the Hosmer money put him over the top. Yeah, that was it.
Please just fucking sign Alex Bregman, please, before I have a mental breakdown. I need someone good from the right-handed side of the plate on my team.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. But back to the point is they are going to find themselves having to ask some big questions. And this whole like golden era we were supposed to see of Padres baseball, I just don't think it's going to last very much longer, unfortunately.
No, I don't think so either, which sucks because there was a point in time, like weirdly, there have been a couple of these eras in baseball where it's like, wow, this team's window's open. And we all like to predict these championship windows. And it happened with like the White Sox when we were like, oh, look at Eloy, look at Luis Robert, look, all these guys. And then it also happened with the Padres. And the Padres are like, wow. It happened recently with the Blue Jays. It's like, oh my God, these guys are going to win like maybe a championship or two in this window. It just hasn't happened yet. And at the end of the day, we just keep seeing teams like the fucking Dodgers win World Series. And it's pretty crazy. It's almost like drafting and developing is an essential skill, but you also need to be able to sign. You need to be able to sign players. And it feels like teams are either good at one or both, or one or the other. And if the Padres are not very good at developing, they're really great at signing players. The Blue Jays got really lucky on a couple drafts, but haven't been able to sign fucking shit.
I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I hate that that's my bold prediction, but I just think it's if I'm at Vegas playing those odds, that's where I think it lands. But what about you, Parker? What's your bold prediction for the NL West?
So my bold prediction, it's kind of twofold. First off, I think that 4 of these teams have winning records. Last year we were a couple games short of that being the case. That is not very bold. The Giants, I think, will win 82 games next year, and that'll be the 4th team to make it winning records. My bold prediction is that I think both of the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks will both win 100 games.
Really?
I think the Dodgers win like 110 games next year, but I could see the Diamondbacks winning 100 for sure.
That is in the same division.
Yeah, that would be crazy, wouldn't it? I don't know if that's ever happened. But like I said, I think this division is going to eat itself alive. And when you do get to play as many games as you do against the Rockies, and I think when you get to play, like you said, there's really like one dude that you got to worry about on the Giants when you have a rotation like the Diamondbacks can put out there on every given day. And this is me gambling. I mean, this is my bold prediction, right? So I'm gambling on the upside of Jordan Montgomery, the upside of Eduardo Rodriguez. And I think that this lineup doesn't include a Corbin Carroll that forgets how to play baseball for the first 3 months of the season. But I think that if everything clicks, 100 wins for the Diamondbacks.
It's an interesting one. I can get behind that. And I in my brain when you said it, I was like, well, I think it's happened a lot more than I think we think, and more recently, and it has. So the more recent time it's happened was the 2022 season. We had Mets and Braves. Mets were at 101, Braves were at 101. And then this is the big one. This is the big one. In the NL West, remember 2021, the Dodgers were at 106 and the Giants were at 107. Their crazy outlier year.
Yeah.
Man, that was a good year. That was a good
year. That year still has me believing more in the Giants than I should, because it just happened out of fucking nowhere with Gabe Kapler at the helm, Brandon Crawford having like a career season in like year 16. It was crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Parker, I'm gonna throw in a little extra bold prediction because I'm a fan of a good story. And don't call it a comeback, but I think Matt Hilton, infamous B guy from the Arizona Diamondbacks B issue, is going to be back. There's going to be another B issue. Our main man, Mr. Hilton, is going to be back fixing the Bs. Mark my words.
You know what? Sign him to a contract. Just put him on the 40-man. Make him a coach. I don't know what you got to do. I love that guy. He did so many interviews. Like he went on like MLB Network and fucking Sports Center that night. It was crazy.
He was one of the weirdest things.
He was like, I was at my son's T-ball game and they called, so I came to work. It was like, oh, okay, it's that easy. All right, that's simple.
Oh goodness. Well, folks, that was the NL West preview for this week. We are going to continue to work our way through these. Next week, we're going to hop in to the NL Central and talk about what's going on over there, another kind of interesting division based on kind of what we've seen recently. So we will continue these conversations. Join us each and every week here on the late night. I was going to say the late night baseball show. Did you hear what I was just going to say?
Yeah, I heard
what
it.
Is that nonsense?
It's all right. Hey, we rebranded. We did we've actually maybe done more shows now as late night baseball than we have as the late night baseball show.
That is crazy.
What? Most people listening to this right now are like, what's the fucking difference?
I know,
important.
But it is very, very important. And that clearly is my sign that we have talked way too late into the night. So, folks, make sure you follow us when you're listening to podcasts. Go ahead and leave us a review, share with your friends, and make sure you're checking out YouTube, where we have a lot of good content for you all week long. We'll catch you next week here on Late Night Baseball. Take care.